Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the calculator section of the May 2017 exam. Without any further ado, let's get the show on the road, kiddos. Okay, number one. Ms. Anderson currently has 550 contacts on her online professional networking site. And by professional networking site, I hope she doesn't mean Tinder or Bumble or whatever. Her goal is to have at least 1,000 contacts. If she wants to meet this goal in 25 weeks, what is the minimum number of contacts per week on average she should add? We can just set up a very, very simple equation here. All we've got to do is do 550. Boom. 550 plus 25x. Where x is how many contacts she should add. It needs to be at least 1,000. 25x is going to be greater than or equal to 450. So x has to be greater than or equal to 18. It's the minimum, so we're going to look for 18. Cool. Number two. At her summer job, Paula earns the same amount of money for each hour she works. If she earns $240 for working 20 hours, how much does she earn for 5 hours? So, to figure out how much she earns for 5 hours, we need to figure out her hourly wage. The way we can do this is just take 240, divide that by 20 hours, which gives us, what? $12 per hour. Multiply that by 5 hours, and we're gonna get $60. C is our answer, kiddos. Pretty nice of you, right? Can't complain. Number three. If 3x equals 24, what is the value of 2x minus 3? Not too bad. Just take 3x equals 24, divide both sides by 3x equals 8. So that means 2x, so 2 times 8 minus 3 is going to be 16 minus 3, which equals D13. Boom! Number 4, Yuna. They're trying to be super duper ethnic here. Sold boxes of cookies and bags of candy. We're told that the ratio of cookies to candy is 2 to 1. She sold 8 boxes of cookies. How much candy did she sell? Well, firstly, she has a big sweet tooth, and so I hope she's been going to the dentist recently. But secondly, the way we solve this is, we're basically told that she has twice as many cookies as she does candy. So if she has 8 boxes of cookies, that means it's gonna be 4 bags of candy. Okay, number 5. For each repair job, an elevator technician charges $R per hour for each hour worked plus fat fee of K dollars. Fat stacks. Flat fee of K dollars. Okay. And he charges $210 for a 2-hour job, which represents the relationship between R and K. So, I mean, really, we can kind of eliminate a bunch of answers right off the bat, right? We know there's a flat fee of K, so K is going to be added on aside from everything else. So, right away, B, C, and D don't do that. So, we are right away, we're just left with answer choice A. Number 6, a box that's a rectangular prism has a volume of 60 cubic inches. The dimensions are 3 by 5 by 8. What is the value of H? The way we're going to do this is the volume equation. That's going to be volume equals length times width times height. We're told the volume is 60. So 60 is going to equal 3 times 5 times H. So if we solve for H, this will be 60 equals 15H. So H equals 4. Cool. B4. Number 7. We have a 15-foot wire and a 5-foot wire. They're each cut into 10-inch pieces. How many more 10-inch pieces resulted from the 15-foot wire than the 5-foot wire? Okay, so everything is the pieces are in inches. So we're going to convert the feet to inches. 15 feet is going to be 180 inches. The way we do that is 15 feet times 12 inches per feet gets you 180. Let's see, the 5-foot one is same thing. We're going to take 5, multiply it by 12. So that's going to get us 60 inches. Now, they're each cut into 10-inch pieces, right? So from this one, from the 15-foot one, that's going to get us 180 divided by 10. That's 18 pieces. The 60-inch one is going to get us, well, 60 divided by 10 is 6 pieces. 18 minus 6 equals 12. So that means the bigger one gets us 12 more pieces than the smaller one. Okay. Number 8, Parabola D. For some reason, they would decide to skip A, B, and C. In the XY plane has equation x minus 2y squared minus 8y minus 11 equals 0. And the question is, which equation shows the x-intercept of the parabola's constants or coefficients? So literally, what this question is asking us to do is figure out what the x-intercept of the equation is, and the answer choice that has a physical number in it is going to be the answer. The way we get the x-intercept is it's simply where y equals 0. So we're going to plug in 0 for y and see what we get when we replace all the y's with zeros. So we're going to get x minus 0 minus 0 minus 11 equals 0, which means if we move the 11 to the other side, x is going to be equal to 11. So we are literally looking for the answer that has an 11 in it. And the only answer that does that is A. Okay, and now we're gonna do number 9. The sum of two different numbers is x and y. 70. The difference between them is 30. What is the value of x, y? So just set up a couple of equations here. The sum of x and y is 70, which means x plus y equals 70. The difference is 30, so x minus y equals 30. It doesn't really matter which number is the bigger number or the smaller number. This is just adding extra stuff to confuse you. So now we're going to figure out what x and y are, because we need x and y to figure out the value of x times y, right? Did I say x and r? X and y. So one way to do this is called elimination, which is basically you try to eliminate one of the variables. And we can do that here by adding the equations together. So we're going to do, if we literally take these two equations and add them together, we're going to get 2x equals 100, which means that x equals 50, which means that y equals 20. Okay, so x equals 50, y equals 20. 20 times 50 is 1,000. Number 10, bunch of information, and then of the following, which best approximates the maximum height in meters of the ball between the second and third time it hit the ground? So let's see. The second time, this is the first time it hits the ground. This is the second time. This is the third time. The maximum height between the second and third time is right here. We're pointing the arrow, which is 0.4. So our answer is B, 0.4. Okay. Number 11. Which of the following is an equation of the circle in the xy plane that has center 0, 0 and radius 4? So the equation of a circle is this. It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k is the center, r is the radius. So if they told us the radius is 4, that means our equation is going to have a 4 squared in it, or 16. And only one answer choice does that, and that is answer choice C. Number 12, which of the following expressions is equivalent to 16x to the 9th, y to the 3rd, all raised to the 1/2? So when you raise a number to something like 1/2, that's the same thing as taking the square root of the numbers, and you'll actually raise the number to the exponent. So 16 to the 1/2 is like the square root of 16. If something is raised to the 1/3, it'll be the cubic root. The 1/4, the 4th root, so on and so forth. When you raise a variable with an exponent to another exponent, you multiply the exponents and keep the base. So in this case, we're going to take the square root of 16 and get 4. So C and D are gone. Then we're going to take x to the 9th and raise it to the 1/2. So we're going to multiply 9 by 1/2 and get 9 over 2. So that's going to be our answer, which is answer choice B. Okay, number 13. So we have a situation here. And the question is, which inequality can be used to represent the situation? Well, let's see how we start. We start off with 10. We pour out x. Then we pour out y. And we're left with at least 4. You see how I did that? Which gives us equation answer choice A. Number 14. Okay, so we have the study in 14. And we want to know which is the most appropriate conclusion that we can draw from this study. So there's a number of reasons why some of the answer choices are wrong. I'll go over some of them. Answer choice A, olive oil use causes a reduction in the risk of heartburn for men and women. Well, first of all, the study was only done for men. So we can't even draw any conclusions for women. So we know that one's gone. B, olive oil causes a reduction in the risk of heartburn for men, but not necessarily for women. So it's got the men and women part correct now, but the thing is, we don't know if it was really the olive oil that caused any reduction in the risk of heartburn. There was just an association, not necessarily a causation, so B is gone. C, again, has the issue with women, and I love women, nothing against women. However, there are no women in this question, and so we cannot pick an answer choice that says anything about women, basically, unless it says that the results can't, unless it says that the results have are not necessarily applicable to women. So that was a mouthful. Beautiful. So that's why C can't work. So D is the only one that's left, and D kind of says everything I just talked about. So D works. Okay, number 15. So, whenever they give you a formula in a question, use it. Here we have h equals 3c. So number 15, which is closest to the estimate of the elephant's height if the diameter is 30. So we're going to start with the equation. H equals 3c. Now, c is the circumference, not the diameter, right? So we need to figure out what the circumference is. The circumference, remember, is the equation for circumference is c equals pi d, or 2 pi r. So this is going to be 30 pi. Cool. So we are actually going to replace c with 30 pi. So h is going to be equal to 3 times 30 pi, which is going to end up being d. 16. What is the ratio of the height of the mother to the height of the baby? That the footprint of the mother is 4 times that of the baby. Well, this is a linear equation, right? Linear function. H equals 3c. So if we increase one thing here by 4, the other one's going to increase by the same, also by 4. So basically, if the circumference is 4 times, for the mother is 4 times that of the baby, the height is also just going to be 4 times. So that's going to be a ratio of 4 to 1c. 17, back to exponents, right? So the way we're going to solve this is, remember, when you raise an exponent to an exponent, keep the base, multiply the exponents. So we can rewrite these two as x to the 24a equals x to the 8th power. So we can, since the bases are the same, we can drop the bases. 24a has to equal 8. So a equals 1 over 3b. Number 18. The taxes we're going to be using, just keep repeating it, right? So we have two equations. We can do this by using elimination. So I'm going to take x squared plus y equals 7, x minus y equals 5. Add these two together, and we're going to get x squared plus x equals 12. So now we're going to solve for x in order to get y. The way we're going to solve for x is we're going to set this equal to 0. So x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. Then we're going to factor it. X plus 4 times x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals -4, x equals +3. Then we can plug one of these back in. I'm going to use 3 because it'll be easier. So let's plug it into the first one, why not? 3 squared plus y equals 7. 9 plus y equals 7. So y equals -2. C is our answer. Boom! Okay. Okay, let's check out now number 19. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the number 2565 in this context? So remember, this is the constant, right? So it doesn't change. So let's see what does change. Will it be the speed? Well, no, we weren't told that this is anything at all about the speed, right? And speed usually changes, so this wouldn't really make sense for it. The distance that the airplane travels in 1 hour. So that doesn't really tell us anything either, right? Because, well, if t equals 1 hour, so if t equals 1, we're not going to get 2565. So that can't really be it. The distance the plane travels between the two cities, well, if t is 0, right? The time is 0. That means we're going to get the distance to be 2565. So that actually makes sense. So C makes sense. D, the time it takes the airplane to reach the city in Ecuador, well, that doesn't have anything to do with time, right? The 500 has to do with time. So D won't work. So C is our answer. Number 20. According to the equation, approximately how many hours will it take the plane to travel between the two cities? Just take our equation and let's do our thing. D equals 2565 minus 500t, right? D equals 2565 minus 500t. So the distance when it travels is going to become 0. So 0 is going to be equal to 2565 minus 500t. So that means 500t equals 2565, and t is going to end up being about 5.1. D is our answer. Okay, number 21, a bunch of info, but basically, let's see. For the neighborhood that had 800 people, what is closest to the positive difference between the actual number of surveys returned and the number predicted by the line of best fit shown? So at 800, that's right here. The actual is the dot, which is 600. The predicted by the line is right here, which looks about like it's about 450-ish. So we're just going to do 600 minus 450, which will give us 150 as our answer. Okay, number 22. Number 22 on the surface looks a little hard, but it's not so bad. Let me start with the answer, and then I'll show you an example of how we would get that. So the answer should be D, x minus 500. And here's how we get it. Let's say, for example, let me give you another quadratic. Let's say I give you x squared plus 5x plus 6. And we're going to set it equal to 0. We want to factor it. So let's factor it. We're going to get x plus 2 times x plus 3 equals 0. So x equals -2 and x equals -3. Now x equals -2 and -3, but the factors were x plus 2 and x plus 3. So the solutions were -2, -3, but the factors were x plus 2 and x plus 3. It's the same thing with the second graph. When y equals 0, x was 500, right? Solution was 500. But that means that the factor was x minus 500. Okay? Cool. Number 23, which of the following is closest to the percent of total number of units of product P and Q combined that are made at factory Z annually? So in total, if we add up 21 to 14, 32 to 24, we're going to get 91. However, the number that are made only in factory Z is 32 plus 24, which is 56. So 56 alone won't be our answer. 56 over 91 is going to be our answer. And this is going to be about 0.62 which is equivalent to 62%. Lovely. Let's go to 24. For 5 consecutive even integers, the sum of the first and third integers 20 less than 3 times the fourth integer. What is the fifth integer? Let's literally use the answer choices to try to figure this out. Let's say that the fifth integer is 14. That means the previous integers were 12, 10, 8, and 6. Now let's test this out. The sum of the first and third integers, so that's 6 and 10, so that's 16, has to be 20 less than 3 times the 4. So 20 less than 3 times 12. So if we do this out, 3 times 12 is 36, minus 20 is 16, 16 equals 16. So B ended up working, so B is our answer. 25, a polling agency wants to test whether a ballot measure would pass with more than 50% yes votes. Okay, bunch of info. Based on the poll's results, which of the following statements must be true? The problem with A is that it says we don't know from the sample whether from the poll whether the actual results will represent the results of the poll, right? If that were true, Donald Trump wouldn't be our president right now. But he is, and because of this, one of the reasons was this. So answer choices that say this will guarantee an outcome are going to be incorrect. So A, the percentage of voters who will vote yes for the ballot measure is 50.6%. We don't know if this will happen, so this can't be it. B, it'll pass with more votes, yes votes than no votes. Again, we don't know if this is going to happen. So B's out. C, it will pass. We don't know if it'll actually pass for sure. We don't know if the results would be reflective of the population as a whole. So D is our answer for all the reasons I just stated. Number 26, the table above shows the results of an experiment with 2 treatments A and B in the plants. Based on the results, what fraction of the plants that thrived received treatment A? So let's look at the total number that thrived. That was 120 plus 60, which is 180. Of those, the ones that received treatment A, there was only 120 of them. So this reduces down to 2 over 3. So D is our answer, kiddos. Alrighty, let's hit up number 27. Last few questions here. A sample of seawater is 3.5% salt by mass and contains 1,000 grams of salt, which is closest to the mass of the sample of seawater. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to take 0.035. We're going to multiply this by X. And when we do this, we're told we're going to get 1,000 grams of salt. Simple as that. Just divide 1,000 by 0.035, and then you're going to get A is your answer. Number 28. Okay, we have 2 functions here. G of X is in the table. F of X is in the little graph. We want to know for which value of X is G of X bigger than F of X. So compare them. When X equals 0, G of X is 2. Right here. When X equals 0, F of X is 3. Is G of X bigger than F of X? No, because 2 is smaller than 3, so A doesn't work. Answer choice B. When X equals 1, G of X is 0. In the graph, when X equals 1, G of X is almost 3, so B doesn't work again. Answer choice C. When X equals 3, G of X equals 1. When X equals 3, F of X is 0, so that doesn't work. And just to make sure that D works, when X equals 3, G of X is 1. When X equals 3, F of X is 0. Great. So 1 is bigger than 0, so D works. I might have said something weird on C. Let's check out C one more time. When X equals 2, G of X is -1. When X equals 2, F of X is about +2. So that's why we eliminated C. Okay, number 29. So we have this function and we want to know which of the answer choices is true. So let's just see which one ends up being true. A, every 1750 years the height will decrease by 10 feet. Well, let's see if we plug in 1750 if we're going to get a decrease of 10. So if we plug this in, if we're going to do h of t equals negative 1 over 175 times 1750 plus 481. So this will give us minus 10 plus 481. So we see that we did get this decrease of 10. So we know that A is going to be our answer. If we test out the other answer choices, we're going to find that they're all incorrect. Number 30. Bacteria starts with 75, doubles every 18 minutes. So we know after 18 minutes, if we start at 75, we're going to get to 150. So we need to see which answer choice is going to is going to give us that number. So from the answer choices, we see that everything is starting at 75. So that's good. So now we just need to see which one gives us 150 after 18 minutes. So 18 minutes. The problem is the answer choices are in hours, right? Because t is hours. So we need to convert 18 minutes to hours. So we're going to take 18 minutes multiplied by 1 hour over 16 minutes. Minutes cancel out. So this means that we're going to have 18 over 60. So it's going to be 0.3 hours. So 18 minutes is equivalent to 0.3 hours. So this means that when we plug in 0.3 for t, whichever answer gives us 150 is going to work. Using your calculator, you can test out A, no bueno. B, no bueno. C will end up working. You'll get 150 if you try it out. And D, no bueno. Woo! Okay, griddins, let's get this done. Number 31. We have this triangle. We want to know the value of x. What is the value of x? From memory, if you remember, this is a Pythagorean triple, right? 5, 12, 13. We know that x is going to be 5. Otherwise, use Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So x squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. X squared plus 144 equals 169. X squared equals 25. X equals 5. 32. So Gary likes to plant tomatoes. Very healthy vegetable, or I guess biological fruit. This year he increases tomato plants by 25%. His plants produce the same tomatoes at the same rate. So how many kilos can he expect them to produce this year? So if it increased by 25%, all we got to do is take 24, multiply by 1.25, and then this is going to get us 30. Number 33, what is the range in years of the median ages of the populations of the countries in the table above? The range is just the biggest minus the smallest. So the biggest one is this one right here, 45.3. The smallest is 17.9. So we're going to do 45.3 minus 17.9. This will get us 27.4. So 34, we have a system of equations. We're told A is between 0 and 1/3. We want to know one possible value of y. X, y is a solution. So just pick a number for A between 0 and 1/3 and plug it in and solve from there. Let's say let's say A equals 1/4. Again, it could be anything between 0 and 1/3. I just picked 1/4 because it seems easy. So if A equals 1/4, well, 1/2 x equals 1/4. That means x also is going to equal 1/2. Okay. Beautiful. Now we know that x plus y equals 5a. So 1/2 plus y equals 5 times 1/4. So that means that y equals 5/4 minus 1/2. 1/2 is the same as 2/4. So y equals, in this case, 3/4. So that'll work as an answer. Really, any answer that you get that's going to be between 0 and 1 is going to be correct. So y has to just be between 0 and 1. Okay, great. On we go. Number 35. We have this expression. It's written in the form of x plus a. What is the value of a? Okay, we have a quadratic on the top, right? Let's factor it out. So the top is going to factor out to x plus, let's see, 11 times x plus 6. The bottom is x plus 6. X plus 6 is canceled out, so we're left with x plus 11. Now they told us that x plus 11 is equivalent to x plus a, which means that a equals 11. And let me circle this one for the top. 34. 36. 36 is a slightly annoying one. We want to know the value of c when the second line is drawn parallel to this one. Well, let's see what we know about this line. The y-intercept is -5, and the slope, it goes up 3/4. So rise over run is 3/4. So the equation of this line is going to be y equals 3/4 x minus 5. Now we can get the equation of the other line. We can use a point-slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is the point-slope form equation. So we can use the point they gave us, 3 comma c, since we're looking for c. So y minus c equals, the slopes are going to be the same because they're parallel, times x minus 3. Great. Now, we can replace x and y with the point they gave us to solve for c. That's 1 and 1. So 1 minus c equals 3/4 times 1 minus 3. So 1 minus c equals 3/4 times, let's see, -2. Great. So did I mess something up? Nope, everything's good. So 1 minus c equals -6/4. So -c equals -6/4 minus 1, which is -4/4. So -c equals -10/4. So that means regular c equals 10/4. Okay, and long last, the last couple of questions. We're given a graph of a bunch of speeds here. And 37, for what fraction of the 12 speeds does the model overestimate the average fuel economy? So let's see where the model is graded in the dots. It looks like here's a spot, here's a spot, and here's a spot. So that's 3 out of 12. So that can be the answer. You can bubble in as 3 out of 12 or 1/4, whichever one you want. And last question. The quadratic model predicts the average fuel economy to be 26 miles per gallon for how many different speeds? Let's see where it's 26. It's 26 right over here. It's 26 right over here. That's it. It's 2 speeds. Boom. Done. That's it. We are done. How does it feel? Probably feels fantastic. That was that section. Thank you for hanging in there. If you enjoyed this, great. Check out the other videos. I'll be posting more. If you have any comments, questions, concerns about anything, please let me know. Send me an email. If you're annoyed by that ambulance sound, I am also. All right. Take care.